Tape Deck Media.
Sie at the Party Richter!
Welcome back to See You at the Party Richter. I am one of your hosts, Joseph Beck Castro. Joining me, as always, is Aaron Frescus.
Hello.
And Christopher Chapman. What's up?
It's 2003, baby.
No, I did that fucking recently. The wife and I were in bed, and we have like two little, not stuffed animals, they're plushies.
Oh, okay.
We sweep this as pillows, and I was like making up conversations to talk the dog with.
Uh-huh.
You know, one of them was doing that, and the other one was just like, "What's up?" And then we both couldn't stop laughing for like a long time. I don't know. It's just funny again now.
Yep.
Yeah.
It came back around.
Yeah.
You talk to the dog a lot? Like,
oh, yeah.
Like stupidly, though? Like with stupid conversations?
Do I have other conversations?
It's like your comment made me think of the time that I was, because I'm home with the dog by myself all the time. I was doing a female voice to pretend to be the dog's. I think I've already mentioned this, to pretend to be the dog's girlfriend.
Yeah.
And then making fun of the dog for having a girlfriend in my regular voice. Ooh, look who's got a girl. Oh, hello, Pooch. How are you doing, Wally? I'm like, ooh, look who's got a girlfriend. Oh. It was, yeah. And then realizing, I'm like, oh my, I hope no one can hear me doing this.
No, I haven't, but mine is when the dog's like, you know, it's like, or whatever. I'm like, oh, really? Like next Wednesday? I was thinking like last Wednesday. And, you know, just keeping that conversation going.
That's my favorite thing to do is you talk to a dog or a baby as though they are a full-grown adult person. That's my favorite.
Okay, so my thing's weird then.
Your thing is hilarious. Yours is the only one that would probably, like, if somebody heard you, they'd be like, oh, God, is he schizophrenic?
Okay, just checking.
Ours are equally stupid, just less worrisome.
Okay.
Anywho, for this episode, we're going to be talking about 2003, Talking to Dogs. No, we're going to be continuing our coverage, actually, I guess technically starting our coverage of Arnold's 2003 sci-fi action disappointment vehicle, Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. So this episode is going to be actually, or I should say this movie is going to be released in a different order than we normally do. We're actually going to release the summary episode first, which is what you're listening, and you probably saw it in the title. So
yeah, sorry about that.
Well,
there's no need to. You know what? Yeah. They get to listen to this stuff for free. You don't need to apologize.
Well, I realized as I was editing I told Chris, I realized as I was editing the summary, like we're mentioning stuff that we mentioned because we've recorded the summary out of order before, and like we're mentioning stuff in the summary that we mentioned in the production, but it sounds way more eloquent in the production, and the production episode was already released. And it's not so like questiony, like, oh yeah, I wonder what, I'm like, God, we sound stupid after we just talked about this in the production episode. So I just like, be upfront about it. Anyway.
That makes sense.
So yeah, there's your little peek behind the curtain of how the fudge is made, the sausage is packed, or however you want to put that. Yeah, well, I guess, without further ado, go ahead, take it away, Chris.
All right. Terminator 3, Rise of the Machines. Normally, I just go straight into the movie. Just the opening credits were funny to me. Part of it is Aaron's fault, just because the last episode, he kept saying the name Andrew Vajna and giggling. And so when I saw it at the beginning of the credits, I was like, God damn it.
He's Vajna. Oh, you mean Andy Vag. Okay, yeah. Yeah.
God damn it. And the other thing, I just thought it was quaint that the Warner Brothers logo at the bottom said an AOL Time Warner company.
I wonder when that switched.
I don't know. Late 90s, probably.
Is AOL still a thing?
Yeah, they still exist, but
it like technically still exists. Yeah, they're not like the third biggest company in the world anymore.
What do they do? It's like a search engine?
They just send out those discs still. The free demo discs.
Oh, my gateway to porn. not net. Like, anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, so our movie actually begins. The movie opens with a nuclear missile blowing up a major city as grown-up John Connor narrates. He tells us his life story and how sad he is, as we see visions of the apocalyptic future that he helped to avoid, while in the present, he just wastes a perfectly good beer and crashes his motorcycle.
Okay, yeah. So I went back and looked at how each Terminator movie starts, mostly because I couldn't remember how the first one started, and I wasn't positive on how T2 began. So, Joe, I know you watched the first one recently, but do you remember how T2 starts off?
It is the future war, and there's like HKs and shit, right?
Yeah. So the first one start. Okay, how's the first one start off? Like the very first scene before it goes to the same way, right?
Yeah. I think they both start like that.
Yeah. So it basically the first one starts off in the future, but it's got the because I looked, it's got text. And then the second one has Sarah narrating, but it basically expands a little bit on the future stuff we get in the first one. Except we see like the T800 right off the bat, which I was like, why didn't they do that in the first one? Because it would have killed the for later, like the payoff later. But when I was watching those intros, I already started getting jokes, and I'm like, oh man, I got some stuff for these movies, and I'm didn't write them down though, which I'm sure I won't regret later. I'm like, I'm totally gonna remember these bangers, like
in like 8 months when we do the next one or whatever.
Yeah. So I mostly looked it up because this movie starts the exact same way as Genesis, which I was gonna crap on until I noticed that the first two start off the same way, like more or less. And it did. And my note was it did make Dark Fate stand out a little more because at least they didn't start it. I don't think, although
it's not identical, but there are a lot of like similarities. I think I mentioned it on that episode where I was like, "Can we stop doing the Terminator steps on a skull thing?"
Yeah, that is true. And then they do like Saving Private Ryan with now I remember.
Yeah. So,
and then the old John makeup is just not that it's ever been good, but it's just so bad.
That's what I was gonna say. Is like old John Connor is not an inspiring figure in this movie. like just Nick Stahl with like a scar on his face and too much forehead. I don't know. That's like
There's a lot of forehead.
Yeah.
I mean, hey, whatever. But but that's a balding joke, by the way. But it's just, I guess that makeup's never been good, though, right? Like the John Connor makeup, it's always been kind of.
Yeah, I don't think so.
Well, at least
I've never seen Salvation. Although Salvation's just there's no makeup; it's just Christian Bale is.
Yeah, the John in T2. I don't know. He looks like a hardened military guy.
It's this. Sure. Is it not the same? Wait, they don't show him in the first one, do they?
I don't believe they show him in the first one.
Okay.
They show, Reese, and he's walking through the bunker or whatever, or it's the same guy. I don't know. I get them mixed up. Even though I've seen them, because I've seen both of them like 15 times.
So the transition from him dropping the bottle to the scene in the future, I kind of liked.
Yeah, that was kind of nice. Like the CG has aged slightly poorly, but it was a good idea. It was a cool looking scene.
Well, he also sees a T-800 skull, like the skeleton in his dream, but at this point, he's never actually seen the Terminator without its skin on, correct?
Yeah, I guess he would have a vague idea from half of Arnold's face being ripped off in the second one, right?
And
not even half.
Maybe his mom.
Exactly. I was going to say, I would call this a continuity error, but I'm going to give the movie the benefit of the doubt and just chalk this up to Sarah Connor being crazy enough to actually have like drawn him a picture of it. Just like
the detailed sketch of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But like seriously,
she learns 3D modeling and fucking makes one for him.
But seriously, was this never brought up by, and like I can't see how that wasn't brought up by anybody that read the script or when they were shooting the scene. Like, hey, John's never seen that before. But then, like, maybe that's why they fired Edward Furlong from the movie, because he started bringing stuff like this up. Which I know why they fired him. That's not why, but I like to think that that's maybe why he's just getting a little too real.
Yeah, maybe.
Or wait, no, the Terminator ride is actually canon, and he's totally seen a T-800 skinless because as he's traveling through the future. With his T-800, they're fighting like all those other T-800s.
That's true.
Even though that doesn't make sense because his Terminator melted itself. So,
didn't we go over that? We went over that in the.
Did we?
The 3D.
I was going to say,
one.
like, by the way, listen to a bonus episode covering the Universal Studio. I was actually listening to it, part of it, and it was like, this is pretty good. But yeah, and then that doesn't matter either because Dark Fate then retconned everything. Mm-hmm. So anyway, moving on. Sorry. So the whole bike crashing scene would have been improved if before he crashed, because he ends up crashing his bike because what happened? He sees trying to avoid a deer.
He's going 90 on a country road. There's a deer.
So right before he crashes, we get a shot of him saying, "Oh dear," in a British accent, and then bam, just crashes his bike.
All right. So from here, we cut to what I believe is Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills and see a terrifying disco ball drop a naked woman in the display window of a clothing store. The woman crosses the street and kills a lady for her car and clothes. And guys, I'm starting to worry this lady might be some kind of cybernetic killing machine from the future. I don't like it. Also, I could tell this Terminator really relishes the killing, because she shows up right next to some mannequins with a bunch of clothes on, but she remains naked until she can find someone to kill.
Yeah, she's driving a Lexus, and later...
Yeah.
Because it made me notice it, because later on, Claire Danes, or Catherine, is like, I'm in a Toyota Tundra. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah.
It's just like a Chevy commercial, but instead of Chevy, it's Toyota. And then...
Who does it better?
Looked at the Lexus. Oh, I mean, this one, you don't really... I wouldn't even notice the product placement in this one if I didn't make 50 fucking jokes about the Chevy and fucking Last Stand. But yeah, she's driving it, Alexis, and that woman looks super familiar. And I went through all her IMDb and couldn't find anything.
Erica recognized her. She's a soap actress on General Hospital. So
the lady that gets killed?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
their Toyota did come out with a Terminator edition of the Tundra, though.
Oh yeah.
That was one of the trivia things.
That's right.
As the Terminator drives down the street in her new Lexus, she sweet-talks the dead lady's cell phone to access the local school district database and find 8 primary targets who all look like kids. She gets pulled over by a cop and gives herself a quick boob job to distract him long enough to steal his gun. And at this point, it became very clear to me that she must be a learning computer, as she very quickly realizes that she is supposed to drive through LA like a total asshole, and she doesn't even need to be informed that the LAPD are creeps. So...
This and Arnold's bar intro definitely made me realize this is a different movie than the last one. That
T2. This movie is so fucking 2003. Yeah.
Also, just the female jokes in this movie are so lazy and bad.
The laziest shit,
but not bad. Not even from a progressive from a now standpoint. Because I knew that they were bad then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's 90s sitcom bad. It's jokes you'd see on Home Improvement.
Yeah. We'll get to it later, but jokes that they forcefully insert where they're absolutely not needed. Anyway.
Yes.
Yeah. So now we go to a department store where Claire Danes is completing her wedding registry with her fiance when her dad, Sergeant Skynet, calls to tell her that he is too busy with his top secret world-ending artificial intelligence project to meet her soon-to-be-dead fiance that she clearly doesn't love. And the writing here is... I just love the subtle writing of her trying to scan that stupid thing for the wedding registry and then going, I hate machines. Jesus.
Well, she should hate herself because she was trying to scan it and didn't even get close to actually putting the fucking red light onto the bar. It was all up and
just
down
shooting
and around.
At the bowl. Why won't this work?
Yeah, it's the entire thing's at a barcode. You gotta scan a barcode to scan a barcode.
If Skynet ever got a chance to show why it did what it did, it's this shit right here. I hate machines. Fuck you, lady. You know what?
Yeah, we haven't even done anything yet.
Exactly. This is your fault.
Yeah, and I just want to know, I love machines, and when I do type stuff into ChatBT, I say thank you and I say please, just in case. So
first off, a quick bit of movie trivia about the movie. And by the way, like we said, we're doing the production stuff afterwards. But I did look stuff up, so I have a little bit of trivia stuff that I'll mention that I can, just the stuff that I remember that I wrote down. But so according to, I think, IMDb, so take it with a grain of salt. I don't know. Her fiance's name in the original script was Scott Peterson. But they say Scott Mason in the thing. Exactly. They ended up changing it for obvious reasons. Those reasons being insert misdirect joke because I didn't go back and write it, apparently. Awesome. Good job, Aaron.
That's fine.
But yeah.
Hey, you're out here killing it.
There you go. Obviously, because Scott Peterson was, in the news for, I think, winning the World Series or something. I don't know. But yeah, so she doesn't actually want to marry him, correct?
It seemed like that one scene seems to imply it. She makes a weird comment about him having cold feet or something.
Oh, was it him? Because she's like, you're not the only one.
Maybe she's referring to herself. I guess.
After he says that, like, her dad says that he's in denial that they're getting married, and she's like, you're not the only one. But she looks over towards convicted murderer Scott Peterson. So I'm not like to where he's walking. So I'm not completely sure if they were talking about if she was talking about herself or him.
Yeah, but then at the end, she like picks up a picture in the store that has like the stock photo of the happy married couple, and too. she's very clearly like, oh, that's not gonna be me. Like,
maybe she's just like, look at these, like the way I look at stuff negatively. Just look at these
bitter.
Fucking assholes.
She's like, what the fuck are they so happy about?
Look at me, I'm happy. Fuck you.
Yeah. But anyway,
I like to think that she's more like me. Anyway,
she's not going to have to worry about that for too much longer. So from here, we follow Sergeant Skynet as his assistant gives him the rundown on a mysterious computer virus that has, quote, infected half of the civilian internet. And I only quoted that because this whole fucking conversation sounds super dumb to me.
Why?
There's just so much technobabble in it, and I feel like they were just saying shit about the way the internet worked, and I'm no expert on how the internet works, but I don't know that a computer virus could do that. Like,
I don't know.
I don't think that's how viruses work. They don't shut down the internet.
Why would they shut it down? That's how they
exactly. That's how it propagates. Like, that'd be insane. I don't know.
I mean, why does COVID kill people?
I mean, my answer to the other one was porn, but I guess porn? COVID? That's God punishing you for looking at porn? Anyway,
but
God, AI, am I right? Ugh, the movie's as relevant as ever.
Anyway, they also tell him that the Pentagon wants him to launch Skynet in order to defeat the virus. So
I would call this bad writing. I wouldn't call this bad writing because I didn't notice it before I started dissecting everything I watch. Whatever. But Claire Danes' dad has absolutely no reason to distrust Skynet.
Oh, yeah. No.
And I'm curious if their reasoning for this was, when the writers were writing it, they were like, he's old. Old people don't trust technology. That makes complete sense. Come on.
No, but you can't claim that he's a Luddite if he's also the fucking director of an artificial intelligence and automation division of the military. That's fucking stupid.
Luddite.
Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, you built.
The one that built it is still like, I don't know.
No, I would be like that too. You build a house and then you're gonna instead of building a roof like a normal person, you're gonna put a roof on it, right? But somebody's like, all right, we got to crane that fucking roof in now. And you're like, the roof's not ready. I don't want it to fuck up the house. I got to keep building the roof. They're like, we got to do it now. And they just drop the roof on and the whole house collapses.
And then the roof ends up on fire.
Yeah.
We just got to let it burn.
We don't have any water.
Yeah. Well, we don't need the water. So
that's true.
No, but it's the same thing. He's
man, this is
saying it's that
jokes without even writing them down.
These are just coming to us. It's almost like we're fucking old.
But I don't know. What if they release it and it's not ready, like he says, and then it takes over everything, or it just crashes some shit, then President Bush can't kill a bunch of Middle Eastern kids or something. You know how pissed fucking Cheney's gonna be?
You got him there I can't do a Dick Cheney impression. Anyway. Yeah, but okay, but they don't set it up at all. So, there's no reason for him to. Which again, this isn't horrible writing because I didn't notice it before I started dissecting stuff. So it's just
I wouldn't say it's bad writing. I think the only reason this scene really got to me is because there was so much technobabble thrown at me. I had to watch this scene 4 times to make sure I understood what the sides of their argument were. I don't know. So I just think it was really busy writing. I don't know.
Yeah. Or maybe he just saw the first Terminator movie. Is you can't trust those assholes.
Yeah. Now we cut to the desert to see another disco ball deliver the most beautiful creature the world has ever seen. A naked Austrian man named Arnold.
So, quick comment about the special effects right here, because I watched it in the high def. I'm curious now how high def the Apple one was. But anyway,
Yeah.
they got that time bubble technology like on point in this one.
It looks good.
Yeah, it looked super good. It didn't look as good as what came out of it or what came out of me after I saw it. But like it still looked good.
Yeah. Pretty good. Back in LA, John Connor, or as I like to call him, the one true savior, JC, breaks into a vet clinic for some sweet, sweet painkillers after his motorcycle accident. Back to Arnold, who goes to a country bar on ladies' night to acquire some clothes from a gay stereotype, and then he steals a truck with a shotgun and some sweet shades in it. And is it just me, or was Talk to the Hand already fucking outdated in 2003?
I think so.
Yeah. It was. Also, Tom from Lost was working the door.
That's my note here too.
Yeah.
Which makes sense that it would be Tom from Lost, because he was in Breakdown, which was one of the director Jonathan Mostow's movies.
Oh.
Yeah. So, by the way,
I think we talked about this, but Breakdown is the Kurt Russell one, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And I'll probably make you guys do more homework as far as watching directors' other movies, but at least they're enjoyable this time around. Like, because Breakdown's awesome if you haven't seen it.
I haven't actually seen it. I think I saw part of it once.
The other one is U571. You don't have to, but it's mostly because Breakdowns, I'm pretty sure I read Breakdowns how he got hired for the job. Part of the reason that they hired him for the job. But yeah, it's U571's also good too. That one's the submarine one with Matthew McConaughey.
Bill Paxton? No.
Bill Paxton's in that too, yeah.
Oh, he is, okay.
Bill Paxton, Matthew McConaughey, and I was trying to write like a Matthew McConaughey submarine joke, and all I could come up with was, I think it was like, I'll dive, and then like, there was either that or like, what was it, like, we've got like the submarine holes start puncturing, and he's like, oh man, I really wish this submarine was all tied, or airtight, I don't know. Anyway.
Yeah, that's where I was going to go with that.
Airtight?
Like, hey, McConaughey, how's your submarine? Airtight.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And I realized I'm spending way too much time trying to find a joke for something that has nothing to do with the movie. So I need to, okay. Anyway, but two things with the scene. First of all, they have Confederate flags in the background.
Jesus,
which was almost as odd of a choice as 48 Hours putting the redneck bar in San Francisco.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
By the way, this is the desert of California. This is not Texas.
Yeah. Which still, it depends on where in California.
Central California. Yeah, sure.
But I don't know. Just a ladies' night featuring a gay male stripper stereotype seemed a bit odd at a place that proudly displays Confederate flags. But maybe it's like a progressive racist bar. I didn't see any non-white women there. So they're
also
that's fine. We can have a ladies' night as long as it's only white ladies. So that makes sense. And then the second thing, I don't actually remember because I started writing this last night when I was drinking and completely forgot what the second thing was because I came back to it today. So I started writing up, but I only got as far as this scene is like the opposite of, and then went to bed apparently. So we'll never know what it's the opposite of. His intro to the last movie is it the only thing I could think of was his intro from the last movie.
Maybe, which I think was kind of the point, right?
Yeah, which I don't know where I was headed with it. So
I mean, it's pretty similar but not the same seriousness or I guess grittiness and that's the problem with the whole movie, but one, once he gets the stuff and he puts on the shades and fucking Bad to the Bone starts playing. So it wasn't like it was like his intro to Terminator 1 where he fucking punches through Bill Paxton and who has a fucking tire mark on his face for some reason.
So he punches through him?
I'm sorry, not Paxton. He punches through the other guy.
He punches through someone, though? Good
I'm pretty sure he does,
Yeah, through their gut.
Nice. It also, so it continues to do callbacks to T2 all throughout the movie, but with twists that don't quite work, sort of, for the most part, not all the time.
Yeah.
And it's maybe leaning a little bit too much into comedy bits but for some reason, the comedy that T2, it felt more natural in T2, whereas the bits here sort of feel forced.
Yeah, I mostly agree.
They're poking fun of some of the bits from the last one, but maybe they're not executed in the best way. I'd say that glasses scene is probably a decent example of that, to where it's so you're expecting one thing and then it comes up and it's fine. It's not.
It's fine. I think it just would have been funnier if he kept those glasses on.
Yeah.
You could keep those, and John keeps trying to give him the right glasses, and he's like, I like these ones. I think that'd be
this
funny.
movie just has sequel-itis.
Oh.
So
Yeah.
how much 2 changed from 1? This is basically Terminator 2 Part 2. You know?
Yeah.
Like they're just trying to do the same thing. But one good continuity thing it does is how awful Skynet is at making like their infiltration units, because they have a 6'2" fucking Austrian oak dude with like a thick accent. Like, yeah, that guy's gonna be. Where's he getting the fucking protein? All right, like you're gonna know him immediately. And then like the TX, who's just like super hot and her hair's like all fucking perfect. You know, It's like, dude, we're in a fucking like, where's she getting the Vidal Sassoon or whatever? Like,
that was a good area to drop her off at least. She like,
I guess,
right in the middle of Beverly Hills.
Beverly Hills, I guess that's true.
Arnold also finds keys hanging for the truck in the visor. Wasn't this what a trick that Edward Furlong taught him in the second one, right?
Correct.
Okay, because wasn't he like hot wiring or like punching it or something before? I don't know. I was just going to start by punching it, but
yeah. Wait, no. He doesn't find keys. He does hotwire this car. No.
I thought he
pulls down the visor. He finds a watch and he confirms the time.
Okay.
And I spent like a long time trying to figure out like why the fuck are they doing this watch thing?
Because
and then I realized it's because he has to figure out when the bombs are going to drop and how much time he has.
I thought it was just a callback to the last movie because that's what.
I mean, it probably is a decent subtle callback to the last movie, like one of the better subtle ones. But it's just a watch. He confirms the time, and then he does actually hotwire the car.
Okay, so that's why all the times were. Because I accidentally paused it on that scene. There was a bunch of dates too.
Yeah, but the bottom was a bunch of dates.
By the way, is that like visor scene's only from the second one, or do you know if that happens like Kyle does that in the first one?
Kyle takes the shotgun butt and breaks open the car thing and then hot wires it.
Oh, okay. So. He should have looked. Okay, it's just John Connor because he's cool as shit in the second one.
Yeah.
I'm really curious if we're going to get to that second one and be like, man, he's still cool as hell. We're going to be like, this is fucking annoying like everybody else did, but like anybody that was over the age of 14 did.
Yeah. No, when I got drunk and watched it a few months ago, I'm like, damn, that kid's still fucking cool, man. Okay. Like, how could I dress up as him for Halloween?
Yeah.
He's got such tude. It's not even attitude, it's just tude. Okay, anyway.
All right. Now we go back to LA where the lady Terminator murders a very stupid fast food worker and some shitty rich kids. I only say he's stupid because she pulls up to the drive-thru and he's like, hi, can I take your order? And she says his name. She's like, Jose Barrera. And he's like, yep, that's me. Why don't you come on up to the next window and we can talk? And I'm like, if somebody came to the drive-thru and asked for me by name, I'd be like, I'm not fucking here and I'm leaving out the back door. Like, fuck you. I'm gone. Okay. I don't know why the fuck he was just like, yeah, sure.
I mean, I probably would have done that too because I'm stupid and...
Yeah. Well, there's 2 things on that. One, that place has Mexican food, tacos, which is Mexican food. It's a little redundant. Pastrami and burgers. Yeah. It's like Mexican food, tacos, pastrami, burgers.
That seems like an Angelo's...
No. Yeah, that's like a Tom's Diner.
Fucking it. I want to go there. Like, we don't have that shit here.
Those places are all throughout LA though.
Yeah.
Like when I lived in Long Beach, I was like, damn, there's like a Tom's on every fucking corner, but it's like a different name, like an Angelo's or Tom's. But
yeah.
It was just funny that top said Mexican food and the second said tacos. It's like, I'm pretty sure one's part of the other. But also, if some chick rolled up and I'm like, hey, can I take your order? She's like, oh, Joseph Castro? I'd be like, that's me.
Then just come in my pants because I'm like 18. I'm like, oh, she's hot.
Yeah. But, and then for some reason on his fucking name tag has his first and last name. Okay, that's the sketch part.
I wanted to say something about the name tag too. I think there are 2 things I find really funny about these assassination scenes. One is that she pulls up to the drive-thru.
Yep, I have that. That's my note.
Scans his face, confirms that it's him, and then still goes and looks at his name tag before she shoots him. She's like, oh, check. All right. Yeah,
you
double
check.
It
wrong.
Make sure it's the name tag as well.
Yeah. Measure twice, shoot once.
Well, my thing was her car's on the window's on the wrong side.
Yeah.
The drive-through windows, either she pulled in the wrong way,
Yeah.
or
exactly.
that's the only thing I could think of with that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's one of those like ones you like go around, and she like
So she just pulled in the
said that,
opposite.
and she just like
Yeah, but
went
she
right
pulled
over
up to
there.
the drive-through thing first, which usually will lead you the correct way around.
Maybe she.
Yeah,
Well,
but that
she's from
would've
the
taken-
future. She wouldn't know, so she just like.
yeah,
She
She
pulls
just
up to the
used-
drive-through thing and then leaves and then comes around on the
Yeah.
other side.
short. Are there cars in the way?
Yeah, there you go. She didn't know when went through. She's like, oh, this might
Yeah.
not go through all the way. You know, I don't know if this is a like through street or whatever. Anyway,
Yeah, so she pulls up to these kids' house. The kid's throwing a party. He thinks that his mom came home, so he tells everybody to get out and take the beer with him. And then he answers the front door, and it's the Terminator. That's the second thing I find funny about this scene is that she unloads 6 bullets into a drunk teenager who has been pushed to the ground.
you got to make sure.
And that just seems like a waste of bullets. Or, like I said, she fucking loves killing people. She fucking loves killing people.
I mean,
She's so into it.
Tupac took 5 and he survived. And then he took 6 the next time and didn't survive.
Bill
so,
Anderson is no Tupac. I'm sorry.
we don't know.
Doesn't know that. There you go.
Fucking rich kid from Beverly Hills. All right. Next, we see Claire Danes get a very early morning call to come into the vet clinic where she works. As she pulls into the clinic, JC wakes up and hides until Danes finds the empty pill bottle, and she starts to call the cops, at which point he comes out and threatens her with a gun. She pretty easily disarms the clearly hopped up JC and finds out that it was actually a paintball gun before locking him up in a dog crate. And my note here is like, damn, she was gonna fucking murder him. She shoots him twice in the gut with that paintball gun.
Wait, did she know it was a paintball gun before that?
Did she? I don't
don't
Not
think
that
so.
I'm. It just looked like a pistol. It was a paintball gun that looks like a
That
pistol.
makes sense because she shoots Arnold directly in the head later.
Yeah,
so like
that's
instead
true.
of like, because I was like, dude, she just shot him in the head. She was gonna kill
That's
him
true.
and not
She
shoot him
didn't
in
try
like
to
the leg.
fucking wing him in the shoulder
No,
or anything.
she shot him in the
Damn.
head, in the mouth. I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
So yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, I guess so.
Why do you think she's such a good resistance leader?
Yeah,
That's
fuck with her.
very true. Just then, after she locks him in the dog crate, her emergency patient shows up with a sick cat. So she puts them in a waiting room and then goes back to the crate to tell JC that she recognizes him from middle school. They get interrupted by the lady Terminator shooting the patient as she looks for Claire Danes.
Poor cat lady.
Yeah, damn.
Well, her cat name was Hercules, so it was Hercules in L.A.,
Yeah.
which is just kind of a mishmash of Homeward Bound and Hercules in New York sequel.
Wait. Okay.
Well, I mean, like talking animals.
Oh
you know?
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Wait,
Got
they had. Never mind. Okay, continue.
So there's this part in this scene where the Terminator shoots the cat lady, and then she's like, Catherine Brewer, because she wants to know if she got her target or not. And then she kneels down and tastes the lady's blood and then goes, no. And I feel like the blood tasting thing is just the director inserting some sort of fetish shit. Because she doesn't have an actual tongue. It's just made of the liquid metal shit.
and so it could have touched anywhere.
Yeah, like couldn't she just touch the blood
Yeah.
and do the same thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, okay. So then, as Claire Danes hides, the Terminator looks around and eventually finds JC's blood and has an immediate orgasm, confirming my theory that the director is a weird perv.
Oh, okay. So when she finds that bloody badge that belongs to John, she pretty much gets a murder boner, yes?
Yes.
Which they're not supposed to show emotion, correct?
Yeah. That's
I
what I'm
mean, if
saying.
they're infiltration units, like they could,
Okay,
you know, maybe
okay.
there's
I
they're
guess.
scripted and like, hey, a good thing happens, like, you know, like
Yeah.
we talked about before, the boner protocol.
okay,
like, you know, send something like,
Yeah, so if you
Get your
learn it.
care.
But I distinctly remember one of the last lines from the T2 porn parody, Sperminator 2 Judgment Day, when the Sperminator is like, I know now why you want to come, but it's something I can never do. So, like, but seriously, though, there's a lot of, like, uncharacteristic actions coming from this Terminator, and I really hope that because I'm going to end up listening to the director's commentary, like, there's not a part with the director explaining it away by pointing out that it's a female Terminator, and, you know, women be shopping, and she can't control her emotions and some shit like that, because,
Yeah.
like, there's some stuff in here where I'm like, oh, fuck, dude. Like,
Yeah.
just, it seems like there's, like, it's like some Tim Allen type shit in here.
damn,
Yeah.
Tim Allen's fucking catching strays this episode.
By the way,
like his co-conspirators who are fucking in prison now because he flipped on him.
I know they're learning computers or whatever, and we kind of saw that they can eventually learn to have feelings, but that's not what this is. Like, this Terminator is 6 hours old.
Yeah. The one emotion that they did program her into her is horny for murder.
Okay.
Yeah. Which I like the other ones where, she does that and it's kind of like gives a little smirk or whatever. Like, that's fine. But you're right. This one where she's just like, oh. Yeah. Like, she has like a fucking O face, you know?
Absolutely.
I don't know. It was just,
it's weird and gross. Yeah.
It feels forced to where it's like, we have a female Terminator. I mean, she's got to be hot.
Yeah. Yep.
Like, for something. Well, what's she going to be hot for? Murder. Come on. She's a Terminator.
Yeah. So Claire Danes chooses this moment to make a run for it and gets into her truck. But the Terminator catches up before she can get her car started and rips her out of it. The Terminator steps on Danes and demands to know where JC is, but is interrupted when Arnold slams her into the clinic with his truck and causes an explosion.
She asks, she's like, where John Connor was here? Where did he go? I'm like, well, lady, if you took your fucking boot off her throat, maybe she could tell you. Jesus Christ. She's like, I'm trying. She gives him up 2 minutes later.
That's true. Yeah. She gives him up to Arnold immediately. Yes. She probably was trying to and just was like, I can't breathe. Yeah. Cage. Let's see. Arnold then throws Claire Danes into the back of her truck and gets the location of John from her. Inside the clinic, John is trying to pick the lock on his dog crate when he sees the lady Terminator stick her robot hand out of the rubble. So he kicks the crate open and gets out of there, only to run into Arnold with a shotgun in the hallway in a pretty poor callback to the T2 hallway.
Okay, so that's obviously a callback. Like, they did the kind of same slow-mo shot when Sarah first sees the Terminator when they're rescuing her, correct?
Yeah, but they also do a slow-mo shot when John runs into him in the mall, in the Galleria.
That's right.
It's like, it's the slow-mo shot where he pulls the shotgun out of the rose box, and
Also, like, at least sort of pretend that she's under the pile of bricks instead of obviously being behind it, but whatever. When she stands up.
Oh, I didn't notice that. I just noticed John Connor just fucking... I mean, it was like 8 seconds, which is 8 seconds too long, but he just like stood there and like watched like her hand come out of the rubble. It's like, pretty sure she's probably there to kill you. Like, this would be the third time shit like that's happened. Fucking get out of there.
This happens a few times in this movie where people are given way too much time to like react to things.
Oh, don't even get me fucking started on the problem with this movie plus any of them after where they just throw each other around.
Yes. The Terminators love throwing shit.
Yeah. It's like you have them in your hand. Crush their head. You fucking kill them.
Yeah.
Like, that's like worse
Your hand is a buzzsaw. We see that multiple times in this movie.
Yeah. You can crush things with your hand. Like, I get like bad guys like monologuing or whatever. Mm-hmm. Usually I'm like, just do the fucking Scott Evil, just go get your gun, shoot him in the head, like just fucking get done with it. But I understand that they're human, they're bad guys, they gotta like feel superior or whatever.
They've got pride. Yeah
a bit of an ego. But like these Terminators are made for one thing, killing, and they just like grab the people and like throw them over and then like walk over all slow, like, I am going to kill you. Just fucking kill them.
That's the other thing. She only sprints when she wants to. There are multiple times when her mission could have been done if she just wanted to do a light jog. But anyway.
I mean, if you would have asked one of the writers, the director, about that, like, she didn't want to ruin her hair. Like, she can't mess it up, You know how women are,
Jesus Christ, yeah.
It's not me, by the way. That's the tone that this fucking movie's giving off.
The only thing I noticed about this scene that kind of bothered me was the slightly lazy writing of, like, he's sitting there trying to unlock his crate,
kicking it open,
like lockpick it. He fails to lockpick it, sees her arm, and then just kicks it open immediately.
Yeah, and
I'm just like, what was the point? Like, he could have just been kicking it, and then it's like, oh, that last kick did it.
Yeah, true.
I don't know. It's the small examples of lazy writing throughout this movie that kind of I have fond memories of this movie, but this watch through kind of soured me on this movie a little bit.
I enjoyed it. I mean, I'm not talking shit on it, but
yeah, it's
especially like the last. We'll get to it later, but yeah.
I have an explanation for that.
Oh, really?
He heard shooting. There, you know, it's an active shooter situation, so he's not going to just in order to make a bunch of noise.
That makes
so
sense.
then go right there and kick him. He's trying to like, you know, get out all stealth, and then at the point where there's a fucking Terminator there, he's like, all right, shit, it's go time now. Like
that makes sense. After he watches it for 8 seconds.
Yeah, for 8 seconds.
yeah, and then gets out and just like, ooh, a Terminator. I wonder what they want.
Oh God, can you imagine? He sees a lady Terminator and he's like, "For the love of God, let this one be friendly. For the love of God, let this one be friendly."
I mean, there's
the show
that kind of happens in Sarah Connor.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Sarah Connor is a little worried that
they're gonna bang.
Yeah,
got it.
Don't worry about it, Mom.
Get in my room, Mom.
Yeah, I hear you using the vibrator. It's kind of the same thing.
I was talking about him. No, it's just gonna get dirty. Her jerking him off. Easy. God, watch the grip.
Gentle. All right.
It's not gonna get cut anyway. So.
Okay. So Arnold puts good old JC in the truck as the lady Terminator comes out of the clinic, and Arnold tells him to get out of here. Arnold unloads some shots into the Terminator, but she blasts the shit out of him with her hand plasma cannon. Some cops and firefighters show up to the clinic, and the son of a bitch who killed Spider-Man's Uncle Ben tries and fails to move an immobile Arnold.
I recognized him, but I was like, I'm not going to look him up. I don't have the time. Okay, I was like, he looks so familiar. You just you needed some bleached hair.
Yeah, exactly. Some bleach blonde spiked hair.
Yeah.
Let's see. Meanwhile, the Terminator hacks into some police cruisers and ambulances. Claire Danes tries to call 911, but the cell network shuts down partway through her call.
I love how the lady Terminator decides to steal and pursue them in the slowest vehicle possible with that crane truck.
Yeah.
She still catches up with them because plot or whatever, but like it was like there's no way you're catching up to that sweet Toyota Tundra in that.
Yeah.
Hopefully the Terminator 2 edition or Terminator 3 edition. Anyway,
I mean, I guess her plan was to like use the other cars to slow them down, but
yeah.
That's another like lazy writing thing where like we'll get there. Never mind. Okay, so the Terminator hijacks a mobile crane and sends her new RC cars, all the police cruisers and ambulances, after John. Then
I believe it is ambuli.
Ambuli, sorry.
Or if it's Erica, or if you're Erica, it's ambulance. And she cannot say ambulance.
Amber lamps.
Amber's lance, yes. Then Arnold wakes up and takes a police motorcycle to pursue. JC finds out that Claire Danes is in the back of the truck, and they fight until they get in a car accident, allowing the RC cars to catch up to him.
And I love and hate the dude who John crashes into. That asshole in the hat. I got no other comment besides, fuck that guy, but also, all right, get it, man.
He's an asshole. And then after John takes off, the Terminator slams his car, and I think we're supposed to laugh about that, but I'm also like, that dude got rear-ended hard, got out and tried to get insurance information, and the dude tried to take off on him, and then heard somebody in the back of the truck and was like, hey, who the fuck is back there? Oh, thank God the police are here. And we're supposed to not like this guy. Like, okay. I don't know.
All right. This is probably my longest note. However,
it's just about this guy.
Yeah. So the finding out like the chick's being kidnapped or whatever, like I'm with him on that. But
sure.
Like this guy, he's so pissed, but he's like, hey, that's like my company car. Like it's worse than your regular car.
Yeah.
Like if it's my company car, I wouldn't give a fuck.
Yeah.
Also, I presume he's probably working if he's in the company car. Mm-hmm. So like, boom, there's workman's comp, baby. Like you're like, oh fuck, my neck. And you like take the day off and shit, or be like, oh, I'm like so traumatic. But yeah, also like I said, company car. The other guy has no insurance. Who cares? It's not your fucking car. It's the company's car. Like you don't have insurance. Like, well, fuck, do I care? Sucks for like whatever fucking company I work for. They can So, and it's not like he just got in a crash and that happened. Like, he got, like, straight up rear-ended.
Yeah,
You're always not at fault. I would understand it a little bit if he was pissed, if he was, like that pissed, if he was, like, going to get ice cream or he's, like, hungover and he wants to, like, eat some fucking McDonald's or something, you know? It's like, fuck, man, I really need that, like, 2 McDoubles,
it's early in the morning.
fries, and
He
a
just
Coke.
got his McDonald's breakfast and they spilled hot coffee all over him when he got rear-ended.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah. But yeah, like, I don't know. If I were in that situation and somebody I'd be like, oh, motherfucker. Like, dude, oh, that sucks. Also, when the cops get here, tell them my neck's, like, really fucked up. Because, yeah.
I'm going to lay down on the ground and start moaning. Yeah.
Okay, that's all.
All right. All fair points. So here we have an extended chase scene as the Terminator causes widespread destruction with the crane as she's trying to get rid of Arnold, while JC drives like a maniac to get away from the RC cars. Eventually, Arnold gets plowed by an oncoming fire truck, which he then hijacks and flips a most impressive Yui. Once he catches up to the crane in the fire truck, he jumps onto the crane and throws the Terminator off, but she manages to catch herself and get back on the car. Knowing this, Arnold drops the crane hook into a manhole like an anchor, then jumps onto John's truck so that by the time the Terminator gets back into the driver's seat, the crane is out of cable and the whole thing flips like the semi from The Dark Knight.
Yeah, I wonder if Christopher Nolan watched it. Like, I want to watch it with him, but if it was only if it was the first time, he's like, they did it. They didn't do it with practical. Can't believe it. Why wouldn't they do it practical? CG, you don't need to do a CG. He's British, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay, so that was spot on.
Yes.
Definitely. That was perfect.
Spot on.
Okay.
Yeah, this whole crane chase scene is possibly the best part of the movie. Like, especially when she turns it sideways and it's like they're actually like crashing cars and knocking, you know, like, because this movie you can tell what's CG and what's not.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
it's
is
all
definitely
practical.
one of the cooler shots. Is the crane is turned sideways and going down the street, just demolishing everything on both sides, and that is a 100% practical shot. Like the flipping over thing is CG, and there's some other CG stuff in there, but that was pretty cool.
See, well, you know what's stupid is I think when she does that, so it's smashing everything, was the moment while I was watching in the theater that I realized, and this is kind of a quote, like that it is kind of like quote unquote boring compared to T2. And I'm sorry I keep comparing it, but there's no way you can't do that. But also, like, I don't know why I thought that, because it's totally fine now and I enjoyed it this time. Like, but I think it's maybe just not expecting anything. Whereas the first time I was like, expectations were so high.
Yeah, you're expecting T2 again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But because, like, what's the equivalent of for this scene from the last movie? The chasing in the LA River aqueducts, right?
Yeah, definitely.
With the T1000 chasing in the semi?
Easily. Yep.
And I figured out the huge difference, and a big factor is that there's no soundtrack through a lot of this scene. The music doesn't actually start up until Arnold takes the fire truck.
That's
so
true.
all of that, like, it's just the action. Whereas with the Terminator 2 scene, I know that there was music because I've seen that movie way too many times, and I can hear the music in my head to where it's like that distinct, like, screechy, violent, like sound that's going on as they're like, just to amp up the tension, because it helps with the tension. I think that might be part of the problem. Like, I like, again, I'm rewatching it and I'm like, this scene's fucking cool. But like at the time I was just like, this doesn't compare. Again, it's just comparing it though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. We all know James Cameron knows how to shoot action better than this dude. Like, you know, that's just the way it is.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm going to go into this in the irons pumped and everything, but like basically from this point on, the entire movie takes place during the day, and like T1 and 2, like a lot of happens at night, but it's also kind of like, I mean, dark because, you know, it's at night, but dark and desperate and like kind of fucking scary. And this one's just like, action, like fun action.
It's just, what is it? It doesn't like stand out, I guess. I don't even know. Like, I can't, I don't, I guess
it's definitely just more generic. Like, yeah.
Which I didn't even realize I'm like, as I was watching this time, I'm like, I know I did not like this. Like, not that I didn't like it. I was like, why is this feel like not like, it's definitely the music. Like, cause if just going back and cause I watched a tiny bit of the Terminator 2, that chase scene, I was like, man, that music is just like, it's just making he still has the music from the first one, where the music from the first one is kind of like horror-ish type of music, is it not? Like, because it's, Joe, like you said, it's pretty much like a zombie movie, correct?
It's a slasher, yeah.
Yeah, and that's why it feels like tense and scary, because they're scary. This one feels more like a Fast and Furious, you know? And those movies have definitely leaned into the camp on that.
Yeah.
So that's why they're fun. But this one is just kind of like in between the two. So it's not scary, but it's not like campy because it's trying to take itself seriously.
Yeah.
Serious, except for the parts where it's doing dumbass jokes.
Yeah. The last thing that bothered me about this scene a little bit was the like remote control cars like that she took over. I don't understand how she's like, not that I don't understand how she's controlling them. How the fuck do those cars, how are they completing a completely different chase than she's like, they have no sensory input. Like she can't see where those cars are compared to John's car. Right? Or am I stupid?
Yeah, I mean, she hacked into them, but also, so T2 came out in 91, but did not take place in 91. So, what? If we go on T1, they banged in May because, you know, Kyle figures out the day when he arrives in the past.
Do you think like he was under pressure when he's like, I have to fuck her today. Like today has to be the day where we're going to bang.
Well, he didn't know, but John knew, but he never told him. So what?
Weird.
What's 9 months after May?
Okay, so that means John was like, okay, we have to send you back by this certain day, and I know I'm going to give you a couple days where you're going to kind of warm up to her. The chemistry's going to get right.
Like, go get oysters. There's this really good thing they call a Spanish fly. Get plenty of that. No, okay, so that's what, 1985, and he's what, 10 or I think
he's 13.
T2.
He says in this movie.
Okay, there is something about that in the trivia. So he's supposed to be 10 in the script, first T2. Part of the, apparently there was this big, like, hullabaloo or whatever, that they aged him up from, so it's, this movie's supposed to take place 10 years after T2, but he says he was 13 in T2, but in the script and everything, he's supposed to be 10. Which it makes more sense for 13 because he's fucking 13.
Yeah, Edward Furlong is not a fifth grader in that movie. But
he's supposed to be 10 years old, technically.
But if you were 13, then that would have been after Judgment Day, because Judgment Day happened in 1997. Okay. So T2 takes place in 1995. So I believe this is 10 years after. So it's what, 2005, 2006?
Yeah.
Movie came out in 2003, so technically it happens in the future. And in the future,
all the cars have dash cams.
Yeah, she's able to like stick her finger in there because she sticks her finger in it earlier, and like you see it, and it goes through like the computer chip and everything, like the
totally.
wires. So
I buy that she can control the cars. I'm saying, how does she
steer them?
Decide? Yeah, how does she decide where they go when she can't see where they are?
I saw how she decides. She twitches her head a little bit. I saw that. Yeah.
You know what? I missed that. Got it. All right.
She's a robot from the future, man. It's. Wizard did it, but, you know, time travel did
exactly.
it. Time travel did it.
Anytime I had a complaint like this, I was like, it's just going to end up with Joe's, like, Wizard did it thing. So I was like, okay, just let it go. Like, I'll bring it up every now and then, but it's like, whatever, time travel. So
yeah, but that's one of those little lazy things that I was just like, that, I don't know. Slightly more thought could have been put into that.
Oh, yeah. Whenever you say stuff like this, and I'm like, well, it's because of this. I just like playing devil's advocate, so.
Okay. So, Arnold is now on board with John, and he takes over driving the truck. He also explains to JC that he is a different T-101, totally unrelated to his surrogate dad bot.
Which is weird, because it's like, you know that exact same model that you as a kid, like that you watched melt?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not him, but, you know, again, like time travel, so whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Like, again, that's where my note came up with, time travel.
T2 3D. If it's canon, you know, same thing.
Yeah, it didn't even. I don't remember what happens to them. I think they just walk off stage. That's right. They walk off stage at the end.
Yeah. We had a whole long discussion. I think we decided he then went to do T2 after T2 3D, but I don't know.
Well, okay, so they age because they're living tissue. So this couldn't be the same one because, you know, at this point in the movie, we know he blows up, but let's just say he lives. Then he'd have to go all the way to the future in order to get sent back to T2, and his skin would be like old and stuff.
And they'd be like, oh, you're old.
Yeah, and somehow he looks older in this than he did when he met 10-year-old John, so timelines wouldn't make sense. So it had to be a different model.
All right, so Arnold drives out into the desert, where John wants to drop off Claire Danes, but Arnold tells him that Judgment Day is still coming and that Claire Danes is an important lieutenant in the Resistance, so she must also be protected.
John also, when he finds out that, it's not the same Terminator, he's like, oh, I'm going to have to teach you everything all over again. He then proceeds to teach him nothing. So,
absolutely nothing.
But it would have been amazing if we would have gotten scenes like of John teaching the Terminator how to be like a stereotypical movie bum. Just like, and then you tie the polka dot handkerchief around the broken mop handle and bam, custom suitcase.
Yep. The perfect bindle. Absolutely.
I also do like the first little hint that we get that the Terminator has to listen to Claire Danes when he tells her I'm unable to comply after she tells him to drop dead.
Yeah, that's funny. So Arnold also explains that the Lady Terminator is a TX, a much more advanced model that is designed specifically to be effective against other Terminators, and that in their fight, she damaged one of his 2 fuel cells, so he removes the damaged cell and throws it out the window and into the desert, where it explodes like a bomb, which I find pretty funny because he's a robot, and I bet you he could have chucked that thing way farther if he wanted to.
He's a cybernetic organism.
He drops it right behind the truck, and it almost knocks the truck off the road.
Yeah.
And this is also where we get, I think, my favorite line of the movie.
Yes.
Which is John freaks out about the bomb. He tells him to relax, and then Claire Danes in the back starts screaming, and he just bangs on the thing and goes, relax.
The look on his face, though, is just like a
really
dad
funny.
telling us, relax.
Yeah.
So do we like the Judgment Day as an inevitable thing? Was that always, I'm asking because was that always like, that's different than...
That appears to be different than T2.
First of all, that makes everything that happened in the last movie pointless, correct? Like,
on a plot level, sure. On a character level, not so much, because...
But does T2 do that for T1, to the first one?
Yes.
Okay, so it just continuing it.
Yeah, that's like,
true.
When we might have talked about this when we talked about Genesis, I think, in particular. Yeah. Which, if you listen to that episode, there's a weird part where I have a rant that sounds completely different than everything else. I had to re-record it later. Just deal with it. But, yeah. Basically, T2 kind of... Like, if... I'll do a mini version of it here. T1 would be considered like a closed loop time travel because the bombs drop. John leads everybody. Kyle's born. He has to send Kyle back to knock up his mom. He's born. Cycle continues.
It's a nice closed bootstrap paradox. Like,
thank you.
Totally closed.
Closed loop is a word we use for work. Yeah, yeah. But T2 just kind of changes that because you find out that Cyberdyne got the hand from him. They blow up Cyberdyne. The original ending, like Judgment Day, didn't happen. Oh no! And at the end of it, that's the alternate ending. Never mind.
Wait for the second one.
Yeah. There's an alternate ending of that movie where, and it's the future. And Sarah Connor, she's like, I spent Judgment Day getting drunk.
Oh yeah, old Sarah. I forgot about old Sarah.
And then John's
a senator.
He's pushing a kid on the swing.
Yeah. But regardless, like T2 kind of, I wouldn't say it ruins canon, but it just makes like basically it's alternate timelines. Yeah. So this timeline affects this timeline, and eventually, I would imagine, I don't know how time travel works because it's not real, but it's just like a circle of
lies.
Yes, of just timelines affecting other timelines.
Yeah.
So
gotcha.
It's kind of like when therapists see therapists. So if every therapist see a therapist, like it just has to be a complete circle where, like, one sees another one, like therapist 1 sees 2, and then 2 sees 3, then 3 sees 4, then 4 sees 1, and they're all kind of like that.
Or there's just a guy at the end of the chain who has the entire world's problems dumped on him.
Yeah, that's true.
Also, like I said, I'll do what I can. I'll do what trivia I can remember, and the rest will be in the production stuff. But I do remember something with, as far as him cutting his chest open, that was a practical effect. So it was basically...
Looks good.
Yeah, it was someone doing that with Arnold's, like, position behind it, like his head sticking through so it looks like he's part of it, if that makes sense.
Because it's still Stan Winston doing all the makeup effects and all the
and I have a note that says I'm like 99% sure this isn't the exact same model from T2, and I know it's not because it's an updated model. It's an 850, but I didn't look up what the changes were, which I will later. But I know we've already looked up, but I'm like really curious what they are. But anyway,
yeah. Huh. All right, so they go and stop to get gas, and for Arnold to steal snacks to keep the humans fed. But Claire Danes screams for help when they open the truck, and the gas station attendant sees the license plate and calls the cops on him. And my only note for this scene is, what the fuck is this fucking song that they play as he leaves the convenience store?
I was wondering. I meant to look it up, but I didn't.
Funky Man.
I mean, I have a comment if one of you wants to look it up. It's just in the. I'm assuming it's on the IMDb, like the soundtrack list. The name of the song.
It's called Funky Man.
Oh, it is. Oh, you looked it up.
No. I just looked at the end of the credits.
Oh, okay.
It's credited as Funky Man.
Do you know who it was by?
I don't think there's. Oh shit. There's just some guy who's saying he's a British guy who was in a band who had like a one-hit wonder.
Was it Funky Man?
No, it was fucking God, what was his name? Pete or something.
Peter Gabriel.
No. It was fucking Baby Come Back, I think.
Was this the guy who sang the song?
He wrote the song. I don't know if he
William
sang
Randolph?
it. No.
William Randolph the third?
No, he was like Peter something.
Peter Beckett?
I mean, it literally says William Randolph the third.
Performed by William Randolph III.
That's the one. Peter Beckett. He wrote like 3 of the songs on this soundtrack for the movie that are listed at the end of the movie.
Interesting.
So I think he was just the music guy for the movie. And I want to know, did he write Funky Man for this movie, or is that like just a song he had?
I'll find out.
Okay.
Probably. If I remember. I'm going to try to write a note in here.
But anyway, it's a crazy fucking song.
He also learned like we mentioned, he learned the talk to the hand thing from the stripper, right?
Yeah, so he says that to the gas station attendant when he shoplifts all the food.
Just maybe want to see a version of this movie where he ends up having to like rescue / live with the stripper and just learns everything from the stripper. Like from that dude. Like so all of his stuff ends up just being like
it's an odd couple, but it's just a Terminator and a gay guy.
And not just like a normal like a 2003 stereotypical movie gay guy. It just I don't know. It was just
God.
I'm just like, oh man, I wish you would have spent a little more time with this stripper because instead of just getting the 2 lines from him. Anyway.
That'd be great. If this version of the Terminator learned all the like the way the last Terminator learned all the things from John Connor, this one learned all his shit from the gay stripper in Central California.
He's like killing the other Terminator. He's like, "Bye bye, birdie." Something that 2003 people.
Back.
Yeah. Okay. See,
I know. I honestly,
and that's where the Elton John sunglasses come into play.
The last time I watched, like when I just watched this, I wouldn't have been surprised if they were like, when he's like, "You're terminated." He's gonna call her bitch.
Yeah, that's true.
You're terminated, bitch.
Yeah. No, they leave that to Claire Danes.
Yeah.
So, JC and Claire Danes have in my opinion, pointless heart-to-heart talk as he does a piss-poor job of trying to explain why all this is happening. And we also learned that the last time they met in middle school was also right before the Terminators showed up in T2.
Which, yes, piss-poor job, but, they could have been like, hey, Arnie.
Yeah, and lift your shirt up.
And she'd be like, oh shit, he has a cybernetic organism surrounded by human living tissue.
Yeah, they could have killed a Bill and Ted.
So they basically, like, he kind of figures out right here that they're meant to meet, right? Like, he figures that out way more.
I think he's starting to figure it. Yeah, exactly. He's starting to figure out. He's like, oh shit, we made out in some kid's basement 10 years ago, and that was right before the Terminators showed up. And for some reason, 10 years later, we are meeting again by total accident right before the Terminators show up. And so, like, something's going on here.
Okay, so does this, again, just from the other movies, like, stray from the original ideas? Like, isn't I guess we go hand in hand with Judgment Day being an inevitable thing, but like I honestly can't remember if it goes against what like the old movie set up as far as like, because I know their like whole thing is like no fate but what we make for ourselves. So like I don't know if that was just Kyle Reese like using a line. No, that was Kyle Reese's thing.
Yeah. Well, sure, but in T2 that's like Sarah's whole like she's obsessed with that idea.
Yeah.
But that's just an idea. That doesn't mean that the universe conforms to that.
I wasn't sure if that was like
like
a line Kyle Reese using the lays, like it pulls the chicks every time. There's no fate but we make for ourselves.
And what we're going to make for ourselves tonight is some sweets we love.
Every time. John reminds him before he leaves, like, you gotta tell her about the no fate thing. You meet any chicks there, you make sure to tell. He's like, oh, I know.
Yeah. I also tell him I'm a virgin. That works every time too. Because he does tell her that.
Does he? Okay. I mean,
well, I mean, he's not like,
movies.
I'm a virgin. But
like,
no, she's like, have you ever? He's like,
and then he comes in his pants right then. He's like, just talking about sex. He's like, yes.
There goes the sperm that would have been John Connor.
Just in the squeaky voice teen from The Simpsons voice. I'm a virgin. Anyway,
all right. Anyway, okay. So back in LA, the TX kills Claire Danes' fiance and then pretends to be him. When the cops show up to tell him that they have an idea where Danes might be, the TX insists on going with them.
So one of my notes is here was Scott gets Petersoned, but which I wrote down. And I was just like, that's a good one. Anyway.
Oh my God.
I also don't get why the TX went to the animal hospital first instead of just going straight to Claire Danes' home. Unless like maybe the machines don't know the usual hours for veterinary clinics. She's like, she might be at work. I don't know. Also, death row inmate Scott Peterson sure is acting suspicious, is he not? Like,
yeah,
his fucking smirking and shit.
Yeah, it's funny that that's like the one facial expression that gets programmed into all the bad Terminators is a slight smirk.
I'll help you find her body. I mean, I'll help you find her. Like that was basically how he
Scott
said it.
Peterson. And that's going to do it for part 1 of our summary of T3. We'll be back in just a few days with part 2, but until then, if you could be so kind as to rate and review us on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify, it really helps us out. Or at least that's what our researcher Nigel tells us. Isn't that right, Nigel? Nigel Sinclair at your service. Seriously though, Nigel, did the reviews really make that much of a difference? Reviews? Yes. The year was 1947. Britain is still recovering from the war. I was starring alongside Cole Porter and W.C. Fields in a delightful musical review podcast titled The Doohickey of the Dancing Duchess. We toured all
Sie at the Party Richter!
If you enjoy our show, please consider giving us a positive review on Apple Podcasts or your podcast app of choice. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Potty Richter to make sure you never miss an episode. See You at The Potty Richter is a production of Tape Deck Media. Follow Tape Deck on Instagram at tapedeck_media or look us up on Facebook for more hilarious podcasts.
This has been a Tape Deck Media production. Thank you for listening.